Right. I'll just move backwards a few inches. Make my smell smaller. My smell smaller. My smell small. Myself smaller. Okay. Topic of this video. It's the day after St. Patrick's Day, 2021. So it is the 18th, Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021. And I'm going to post this video the day after I finish the Aldo Leopold challenge. That's the goal anyway. And I have a bunch of videos that I'll upload after that I've kind of been filming during the Aldo Leopold challenge but haven't posted because of the kind of rules of the Aldo Leopold challenge. And so a while back I made a video saying predicted that I wouldn't be doing my first kind of spitballing ideal itinerary for Ireland, which was April to May 2021. So I'm going to stick by that earlier prediction. I don't think it's going to happen. Or I'm predicting that it doesn't happen. The April to May 2021 tier. I think whatever happens is what is meant to happen. And in that sense, it's ideal. So like whenever it happens. And so I have a few, I can call them like traffic lights. So a few lights or conditions. I set a number of those for my Ireland heritage travel trip. And so I'm going to go over them. There are 15 of them. And they're things that I need to address before I go on the trip. And so I'm going to go over them and their status. So this is part of why the April to May itinerary is a no-go. That's my prediction. So the first one is travel to, from, and within Ireland without COVID-19 restrictions. So that's a red light. They're still on level 5 lockdown, which is like you can't go more than 5 kilometers, at least last time I checked, which was March. I think it was March or February I checked. It was not too long ago I checked, and they were level 5 through early to mid-April 2021. So those level 5 travel restrictions are not more than 5 kilometers from one's house, required COVID-19 negative test, not required vaccine or vaccination, and then self-quarantining. So I'm just like, well, if my goal is to see the country and driving around to a bunch of different places, 14 days in a hotel room where I can't travel more than 3.1 approximately miles from that. And I'm not even supposed to be doing that in the first place, so that wouldn't happen. It just means wait. So, red light. Next one, student loans. That's a yellow light. So, it started with the Trump-Pence administration, is continuing with the Biden administration, is there as a response to COVID-19. There's like, it's not grace periods, it's like administrative forbearance. And so I don't have to make payments, and my student loans don't accrue interest. And so that I have until September 2021. So that's a yellow light. And I mean yellow light here in the sense of like, if all of these things miraculously, and I mean that would be true miracle if all of these things align, or when all of these things align, it'll be a miracle. If it aligns before September 2021, that'd be like super miracle. So yeah, so I put it as a yellow light as like, well, if COVID-19 kind of everything dies down and the travel restrictions, like the swine flu is a good example, like we don't still have to get vaccinations or tests for swine flu to travel internationally, and that actually went away very quickly after the swine flu pandemic. And so COVID-19 eventually may reach that phase, and so if we reach that, the swine flu was, so I guess they're comparable in length. They're not too far off thus far. So we'll see when the pandemic ends, kind of thing. But yeah, swine flu, global, I had friends who traveled, so I knew that global travel rebounded extremely quickly. So that could happen with COVID-19 as well, because there is precedent for that happening with the swine flu outbreak. And the swine flu outbreak, it was like 2009 to 2010, something like that. I was in high school. Okay, so there is the possibility of this trip happening, depending on how fast kind of get over the tail end of the pandemic. And so, if this is the tail end. And so that was student loans, so yellow light for student loans. Car insurance is a yellow light. I have paid to September 2021, so student loans and car insurance are good to September of this year. Stimulus check payment. I got a $1,400 stimulus check a few days ago now, and so that's a green light. So I think the only thing on this list that's a green light is I've got $1,400 that I didn't have before. And condition or light 5 is retirement account funds available. That is a red light. I have not withdrawn funds from my retirement, and I will be withdrawing all my retirement funds for Ireland. Go Ireland! Go Ireland! Okay. Or Erin, or whatever however you want to pronounce the name. And number 6, light number 6, sufficient funds available. So that's a red light. I don't have enough money to travel right now. And primarily because I have not withdrawn the retirement funds. And number 6, so number 6 is red light. On to number 7, health in good enough condition for travel. That is a red light. I would crash and burn if I went to Ireland tomorrow or today. I need a more active lifestyle on a day-to-day basis. I need consistency of exercise, and I need to bring my weight down a bit. And so consistency of exercise means like I need to be ready to go out and hike a mountain on a regular basis, that kind of thing. That's like, there are a number of places I want to go hiking. I do a bunch of walking when I travel. It's a very active lifestyle, and it's one thing after another. And being in a house and then doing like 10 things in a day that require a bunch of walking and not going with someone else. So specifically for solo travel, this is part of why this is a red light, is solo travel, I'm doing all of the interactions. I don't get to rely on someone else to do that for me. So that is a heck no red light. I am not ready for that. Number 8, red light or condition number 8 is rental car reserved purchase, red light. I have not done it. Number 9, and tied with that is if I get a stick shift manual transmission, I have to drive our stick shift / manual transmission before I go. So I am semi-prepared for Ireland. I'm not jumping in without having driven stick shift since Scotland, which was July 2019. So there's a rental car reserve purchased and practicing driving stick shift. That's red light. 9, flight reserved / purchase. That's a red light. I have not booked it. I have purchased it in the past and have a travel voucher. So I technically have the money set aside for it already. I just have not booked the flight. Lodging reserved purchase. That is a red light. I have not booked anything. Travel to and from the airport. So to from airport transportation. So that's here on this side of the trip. And that is a yellow light. Tentatively my parents in a combination of light rail, which is a type of transportation in the Puget Sound area, some combination, or my parents, we need to work out scheduling. Since I haven't scheduled the flights, it's a yellow light as opposed to a green light, because I don't know if they can do it or not. Depending on when the flight is and stuff like that, it might just be easiest for me to take light rail, or so we'll see. And then number 12, condition number 12, critter feeding regimen for when I'm gone determined. So I have a winter / fall into spring regimen. I need to come up with something more sustainable that doesn't overwhelm my mom and is good for spring to summer months. We give them a lot of food currently because they are starving and we can see it, and they don't have a lot of their natural food sources, and they've kind of depleted their reserves, so they've been coming to us for a lot of food, and we've been helping keep them alive. And so as a lot of plants are blooming and that kind of thing, and more food sources are becoming available, they can eat that, so we don't want them to lose their foraging capabilities or abilities, and we don't want them to become overly reliant or dependent on us. And so I am starting today. I've already started it. I've started weaning them off their food, and we won't wean them completely off, but it's meant to kind of be an additional food source and a minor food source, and their major one is the natural food source. So I'm working on that, so we're making it manageable for my mom and my dad when I'm gone. So that's a red light, because today is just the first day of working out what that would look like. And light condition number 13, trip rough itinerary. That is yellow light. I have a workable baseline itinerary developed. What the final rough one will look like is dependent on the length, whether I choose to drive around Ireland clockwise or counterclockwise, stuff like that. Where I get my lodgings, that kind of thing. And yeah, and so that's the yellow light. Number 14, we're almost there, just 2 more. Proof of the above, printed out and put in a book, ready for travel, copies printed for parents. Yellow light. So I've started printing out a bunch of my workable, like the baseline itinerary, screenshots of like I printed out like my travel voucher information. There's stuff like that I printed out, price estimates for the rental car, that kind of thing. But I need to print out the final ones, put them in a book, and they can check that at border crossings. I've heard of that being the case. Like, you have to have proof of your hotel reservations, sufficient funds, travel, that kind of stuff. When you go to Ireland, they apply that criteria to everybody going. And so I need to have a booklet that if they ask, or when they ask, I can just hand them the book so they can look through it and see that I have everything reserved and sufficient funds to travel Ireland. So that's yellow light. And then I need to print copies for my parents so that they know where I am and what the plan is and that kind of thing, in case anything goes wrong. And number 15, pack and depart for trip. So that's yellow light, because there are some stuff that I do not use on a day-to-day basis that I do use when I'm traveling, that I've started putting in one place, in a igloo cooler of all things. And so that's my Ireland cooler. And so that is actually not a red light, it's yellow light, because I have started, but yeah. So there's only one green light on here, and that's getting my stimulus check, but I'm working on, I have addressed or worked on all of them. So it'll be fun to see when all of the lights turn green and it's all go.